That, according to the SA, is not their job.
It's not.
That's not their job. That's for the CAC to go ahead and represent, please, it's for the CAC to go ahead and represent the citizenry of the Antelope Valley. That's what this is for. Not to go ahead and present the interests of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And this has been a consistent problem with the CACs throughout the years that we've had, is the interference of the Sheriff's Department with our CACs, which disallows adequate input from the community, all the way down to their surveys. The surveys that they go ahead and they disseminate, to the Anglo population of the Antelope Valley, rather than going ahead and encountering the majority, which is now at 73%. You choose to go ahead and cite the Anglos, rather than going ahead and
Real talk, brother, real talk, yep.
We're gonna move on, we're gonna try to go through this as possible. I really want to get to community feedback and questions, as quickly as possible. And domestic violence and vehicle theft is a huge problem in the Antelope Valley. I constantly want to hear that from people in the community. And it was leading up to the zone deputies program. We wanted to introduce you guys again to the zone deputies, because the last time they were introduced, it was virtual. So now,
So you want to introduce us to deputies that we didn't have a clue were even coming into the community in the first place?
where they're going to explain what the zone deputies program
Okay.
is.
Is one of the zone deputies T. Shelton? What's his first name? Is he here tonight? Are you here tonight? T. Shelton. It's all public record on the website. T. Shelton.
He's not here tonight.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That's convenient.
Yeah.
The person who actually.
Is that Tyler? Is that Ty Shelton? Can I get his first name? It's on AV Press, his email and everything. Do I have to email him to get his first name? Captain? Sergeant? No, you don't know his first name?
It's on the transparency page.
It only says T. Shelton, it doesn't say his first.
I think it's
Not transparent. You guys
Is it
protect
Ty?
yourself. you don't
Is it
protect-
Ty?
I thought it was Ty.
Oh, it's Ty. Oh, you're talking about Ty Shelton, the one who murdered Michael Thomas. Is that the same guy that's zoning our communities?
That's right.
I just want to know. That's all I want. That's a domestic violence call as well. He was called for a domestic violence call, got shot by a police officer, 64 years old, last year in June. If Ty Shelton is one of those zoning deputies, I don't feel safe already.
That's right.
None of us feel safe.
This in the background, that's real cute. That's really cute. It's, what? I wasn't there. Oh, but I've been there since the beginning. I saw the blood on his mother's couch. Girl, you don't tell me. It will not be a great night for you. I really was just promising.
This is not a
I'll say the thing is that we're not being able to have conversations right now.
But how are you
You're not
going
having
to
conversations
enforce
because
that?
you're not asking the community what our issues are. This is an agenda that you guys put together from the sheriff's department. This has nothing to do with what we have on our chest or on our heart.
The domestic violence was something that was brought to me by the LGBT community that was sent to
But your
me.
colleague just said that this agenda was
Yes, there was things that are on the agenda that were encouraged, but not necessarily everything.
Did they
This was
bother
put
to
on
ask
by
anybody in
you.
the community what we felt about it? Do they know our issues that's going on with us, with them, and them with us? I mean,
can't
there's
answer your
a
question.
public servants.
Okay, I can't answer your question because I can't answer for them.
And they're not answering at all.
That's
just
just,
saying.
that is the problem, is that when we've asked them questions about how many complaints, only one was honest. So how in any way can we have an open and frank conversation if they are not even willing to just answer a simple question like that?
You can't get fired.
So then they
Say I'm
have
a
no
complaint, I can never
to give
get
an
fired.
agenda to you, or they shouldn't in the first place.
Yes,
Come on, every single one of them at least needs to answer that question.
We're not supposed to have anything to do with the activity of the CAC.
Okay, guys, so a lot of time has passed, so we're gonna just give everything, we're gonna go to community feedback and questions right now. So we're gonna rotate from the pre-submitted question to the speaker. So if you haven't gotten my card yet,
I'm number one. I just had like a lot of issues actually, with the sheriff's department and, I have my own experiences. I was set up by a sheriff out here and he was harassing me, he was texting my number. As a result, my son being taken away from me with whatever you guys got going on with DCFS. This is a real thing. I was emotionally abused. I was mentally abused. I was being harassed, I was being gang stalked. My friends that I had met up with to let them know what was going on, they were also fishing me to throw them in the mix with possibility of my case being thrown out of court. When I said something, I tried to call the watch commander. I never received a call back. I never received anything back. The DOJ didn't do anything. They said that they couldn't do nothing for me because they were just in a hole for California in a hole, and they're not representing just individuals by themselves. And this is a real thing, and I don't know if Yas is doing it personally, but I know some of your friends are. This is a real thing, and I have the text messages to prove it. Just so I could go to court and be convicted for something that I didn't even do, with my son being taken away from me, with him being in another place other than with his mom, okay, just so I could find out that he was resigned. He resigned. So there's no accountability there. He didn't get in trouble, but I got convicted for something that I didn't even do. And you know, that's abuse of the people that live here. That's why there's so much distrust. You know, even with our rights being even with our civil rights being violated, like if you're a passenger in the car, you ask for ID, that's for everybody to get out. I was picked up over there by the hotel over there when I was fixing my truck.
They only do that to blacks and Hispanics, the white people.
That's right.
have no clue what we're talking
And
about.
accusing me of having a gun, which I didn't even have. You guys searched my vehicle, you pulled me out of the truck, you searched all of my stuff, you messed up my speedometer in my truck, my gas gauge. You guys don't pay for that. I couldn't go to the captain and tell him, hey, you guys messed up my truck. Okay, well, call your watch commander before you try to detain me, because I know my rights. I'm not on probation, I ain't on parole, and why are you guys doing this? Oh, because of a weapons investigation, and I got it on camera. There's no accountability. Nobody, and that's not fair. You guys are abusing your power, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels like this. So, I don't know.
So a question that we have is, does the LA City Council's vote on vaccine mandates have an effect on the city of Lancaster? If so, will the sheriff's office be involved in citations and enforcement? Are there any future plans for when vaccine mandates go into place? So the answer is no.
We're not enforcing any vaccination laws currently.
You guys are the real candidates.
We don't know.
He says that they're not enforcing the vaccination. That's what Kevin says, they're not enforcing the vaccination.
Who has card number 2?
Right here.
All right now.
All right, for you people that don't, is the AV Press here? Anyone from AV Press here? Okay, for you guys who don't know, my name is Steve Hill. I've been in the AV for 30 years. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I'm also a retired state peace officer. What they're not telling you guys is most of this is just systemic. And the problem is much larger because all of our politicians, Tom Lackey, Scott Wilk, Mike Garcia, I have phone messages, I have text messages, I have documents. I've been in court with the LA County Sheriff's Department for almost 2 years. I had an incident happen to me before George Floyd was murdered. Now his murderer is sitting in prison and I'm still not even close to getting a hearing. I want to know from the Sheriff's Department, sir, how much money have you guys spent trying to keep me out of court? I want to know that. How much money have you spent? I know how much I spent on my attorney. I want to know how much you guys spent, and I'm a businessman. I'm a business owner. Let me tell you guys what happened. When I was out appraising property, I had a deputy come to my house after about 45 minutes. Came to my house and questioned me. His 2 questions were, where were you 45 minutes ago? And that's one of the trick questions that cops use to see if you're guilty or not of something, which I guess he presumed I was guilty of something. I was literally minding my own business. I'm a real estate appraiser. Came to my house and questioned me. What were you doing over there? Well, that's none of your damn business. I tried to complain to Schaefer, who, in my belief, is nothing less than a white nationalist. And I have a photo that pretty much proves it.
Put it on social media.
I will.
That's right.
I tried to complain to him nicely. I was a state senate candidate at the time. Training officer, he shouldn't be coming to my house asking me, I got disrespected. I have to file a formal complaint. The investigating officer called me when I was sitting in Tom Lackey's office with Senator Scott Wilkes' wife. She heard the whole conversation. She had to do me like this to keep me calm. He was so disrespectful to me. I had to get an attorney. You guys have been fighting me almost 2 years. We can't even get to discovery. How much have you guys spent keeping my black ass out of court? We need answers. We got to vote out all of these damn politicians because they're part of the problem. AV Press is part of the problem.
Right.
They will not write a negative story about law enforcement.
That's right. Come on
Because law
now.
enforcement controls them, because just like.
J Garcia at avpress.com. I told her I wanted to come in and talk. Told her who I was. She stopped the conversation. She stopped communicating with me. This is all BS.
That's right.
And we got to vote these politicians out of office because they're part of the problem. We're never going to get justice. They don't want us to take the knee, but when we try to use the legal system for justice, they got a game they play with you. You descend to a whole nother level of injustice.
Right. Just 2 more minutes.
Thank you.
And the next one says, I lived out here for a few years now and have noticed that the Lancaster car community, mostly younger kids with modded cars, has grown. With the increase in motor vehicle accidents, and as a car enthusiast, I can't help but wonder if there are any programs or community events like track days and organized meet nights that can be provided somewhere safe for the
Contact our community relations office.
If whoever asked that question would like to talk to the community relations office, we'd be more than happy to participate in that kind of activity.
I'm gonna write my question in next time.
We have number 3.
Just that's me.
Yeah, number 3.
Okay.
That's not 3. Who has number 3?
It's like 3.
That's me.
That's 3. Oh, that's 3. Okay, I'm sorry. 3.
So by the time we got a chance to go ahead and see you guys after, what, 2 years? We've been going ahead and conducting our Zoom meetings, right? The Zoom meetings that you guys went ahead and you shut off all the sound so people couldn't comment. And at times when they had you shut off, also, any chat that would go on in the rooms. But now we're here. And the reality is that after almost 6 years, we are still dealing with the same stuff. You go ahead and talk about compliance. And where is the compliance coming in from, sir? It goes ahead and comes from the housing issue that we had 10 years ago. It also goes ahead and comes in with the training, the in-person training of your officers. But the 2 most vital aspects of what it is we need in order to go ahead and pull you guys back to the place where we can trust you again are missing. What are those elements? Accountability. The way we go ahead, we file complaints. Accountability. All those things. And what we want is we want to go ahead and be able to go ahead and walk our streets with going ahead and trusting that you guys are going to go ahead and be fair to us. That's all we want. We don't want to go ahead and change the world. I'll tell you what, when I was a little boy, the most exciting day of the whole school year was when the police officer would go ahead and come into the classroom and talk to us. Let us see him with all of his shiny stuff on and his shoes. Nowadays, children cry, especially children of color, when you go ahead and you approach their parents. This is a big problem. And that's no way to go ahead and raise a law enforcement agency, sir. It's just not. We want to go ahead and engage with you, but there are a few basic things that you have to go ahead and acknowledge. First off, all this stuff that's going on with the CAC, it has to stop. You have to leave the CAC alone in order for it to go ahead and fulfill its purpose as far as the Department of Justice is concerned. There are a lot of regulations. You've gone ahead and offered a whole new page of them. And let me ask you this, one of those elements of that agreement is that the CAC membership be limited to 2 years. When will that go ahead and be applied? That's a question, if you don't mind. Thank you.
I'm glad you asked that.
Well, so am I.
I have been evaluating the service of the CEC members, and when I have additional people to replace them, I will take an opportunity to thank them for their service and ask them to move on to a different project. Currently, I have no one in line to replace anyone on CEC.
Would you repeat that?
Currently, there is no one in line to replace any of our current CEC members.
And I'm talking about that, sir, because the current CAC members are part of the problem here in the Antelope Valley. We have CAC members that are closely associated with our local government.
Yep.
Okay, we go ahead and we have CAC members who went ahead and covered up the 2 letters that were mailed out to the federal judge of the change, the oversight judge, as well as Sheriff Villanueva himself, or the MT expressed an extreme level of alarm as far as the backsliding of the Antelope Valley Sheriff Stations.
I don't
And that
know,
was came from.
I don't know what letters you're
Well, I'd be more than happy to go ahead.
I'll be more than happy to contact Angie Wolf and ask her about that.
If you're willing to go ahead and take that on as
I will send her a message as soon as we're done with this meeting, ask her if she can tell me about that.
So just remember this, there are a lot of people in here, because most of them are all activists, and a great number of them have gone ahead and written every report that has gone ahead and come up. And so we know what's going on, okay? And we hope that you appreciate that, because all we want to do is just rehabilitate our law enforcement. That's all we want to do. Thank you.
Real game.
And I appreciate that.
Amen.
Okay, the next pre-submitted question is, how was the captain chosen? What was the process? How was the captain chosen for the Lancaster Sheriff Station?
Several years ago, 2 or 3 actually, Sheriff Villanueva implemented a new selection process for station captains. Sheriff Villanueva's process includes a application of qualified personnel. After that application process is completed, the department executives, top level, filter through the applications, decide who is qualified, who's the best fit for that area. Those people are interviewed. Then those candidates are submitted to the city and a panel of community members, including city officials, the elected officials in the area, is put together, and they interview all the candidates. There were 7 candidates selected for this vacancy. After the panel interview, they submitted their recommendation to the sheriff, and as is his right, the sheriff made the selection.
Can the sheriff release the racial identities of the other members that were interviewed and where they lived? No offense to you, but we'd love to know who those other people were, because they don't, maybe they live here, maybe they are not white.
And is this like the hospital, you gotta know somebody that knows somebody? Do you know somebody?
If you guys see your part, you want to ask you that when your turn, so we can just move on to the next one. Okay. Who has card number 4?
All right. As I stated earlier, my name is Michael Salvador. And I don't need to be here, but it's important to be here and recognize what we're talking about and we're not agreeing on. And this is nothing new, right? It's a historic pattern, if you will. A simple question. When this report comes out to the CAC, it says June of 2021. So is it past practice when we wait at least 3 months later to share it with the public? What are we doing in the lack of those 3 months when we finally have a town hall meeting, right? So I question that. And there's a gentleman, one of the sheriffs that introduced themselves, he said he's been here for 16 years, right? And they've all gone to training, is what I was informed, allegedly with unconscionable and conscionable bias.
That's not what the training is.
Okay, then correct me if I'm wrong. Are sheriffs experiencing conscionable bias training? Because that's what was it.
Constitutional policing
Okay,
and bias-free policing.
so does anybody here know, from a sheriff perspective, if any sheriff can answer me, what unconscionable bias means? Because people in business, the schools out here go through it, teachers go through it, administrators go through it, and I'm just asking you, if anybody here knows from a sheriff perspective what unconscionable bias means, you can raise your hand. So nobody's answering the question, right? Let me share that with you, what that means, right? This gentleman's black. I'm Latino. No matter what position or what subject matter you're going to address with these two people, color will not play a race. And I will close with this. You said that you read the report many times over. And you must understand the stats I'm about to share with you, because a gentleman here.
I did not say that.
Did you read it at all?
I did read it.
All right,
I've
so you
all-
read it.
Yes.
All right. Having said that, in that report, and according to the Department of Justice, it says, and I quote one of these sheriffs who said that interest is best in the community. My interest is in the community. Okay. According to this report, in the Antelope Valley, in 2018, a Latina and a black man was pulled over 40% of the time. Our counterparts, Anglo-Saxon white, 21%. All right, let's keep in mind, best interest in the community. Which community? Number 2, 2019. That number for Latinos and blacks went up to 42%. And the counterparts from my white friends went down by another percent. So when I ask and I hear we're looking out in the best interest of the community, my friends, these stats I just saw, they're intentional. They're by design. So it's hard for me to say, welcome, Captain, thank you for looking out for us, right? It's hard for me to accept on Facebook where they say, have coffee with the sheriff. Right? It's hard to teach my daughter they really are looking out in our best interest when they're really looking out for a certain few's best interest. So that's why we're here. That's why we're not on the same page. So let's have those uncomfortable conversations. Thank you.
That would generally be a specific question, but in general, if an arrest is not made for a violation of a restraining order, it is because either the person is no longer there or it is not an arrestable violation. That is in general.
Okay, you have card number 5.
Hello, my name is Isabel Flax. So, I'm part of Council of Contractors, which is a movement to remove all sheriffs from high schools, right? Because we just had a 6-year-old slammed, for whatever reason that is, captain, right? Slammed by a grown man. We still don't have all the facts to that case, right? So that's another question. We want to know what's happening with that officer. If he's going to be on desk duty, if he's going to get any type of, reprimand for that. Also, my question earlier of the zone deputies, right? T. Shelton, it kind of resonated in my mind because we didn't get a name of the person who killed Michael Thomas for over a year. So it'll never leave now. So I want to know, obviously, Ty Shelton is still on the streets. Obviously, he's doing zoning for neighborhoods for non-criminal calls, but he killed a 64-year-old black man in front of his family last year in June. So how is he trained better than any other officer to handle minor discrepancy calls?
Can they confirm if he's his owner?
Can you guys confirm that?
answering that, because he is.
Thank you, because there's the answer. Okay.
Come on.
And let's talk about two, because I am part of the council contract. What we're trying to do is get officers like them off of school campuses. Because
Black teenagers accounted for 60% of the deputy contacts on campuses, but only made up 20% of the school, right? So that means our black and brown kids that are going to AV High School, Eastside High School, Lancaster High School are getting harassed by school resource officers. And trust and believe, I was harassed on campus as well. Instead of mentoring, I was harassed. Let's also talk about the settlement agreement as well, right? So it says in the monitoring report, which
you did say, sir, that you read thoroughly a lot. You said that at the beginning of the meeting. I wrote it down, because you did say it.
So, sorry?
I said that I read this.
You made other statements saying that you thoroughly understood it, right? So the disparity, let's talk about why blacks are much more likely to be stopped. Because there are biases that are going on in the sheriff's department, right? So in the settlement agreement, this is what it says. In the monitoring report, blacks are much more likely to be stopped, are more likely to be searched when stopped, are more likely to experience a backseat detention, and are more likely to be asked whether they're on probation or parole. This is on the monitoring agreement, right? But why though? Well, this is what goes back to Marco's, that bias training. Because people are biased coming into this job. You guys must have been bullied growing up. So you guys need somebody to bully. So, and let's talk about this. Why, it says that deputies are a contributing factor to why black and Hispanics are being stopped so much. So if it's up to deputies to say, oh, I'm gonna go stop him, or I'm gonna go search him, like all you guys could do is stop. And some of you guys aren't going to do all the extras, but some of you guys are, just because based on the color of their skin.
Profile.
So I want to know, it says in the settlement agreement that if the deputies would stop doing these searches and seizures and stop pulling people over for vehicle code violations, then
black people would be disproportionate. Hispanics would be disproportionate.
so it's not a thing of us, Captain, right? So it's a thing of your deputies, right? You're the captain, and this is another question. I had 4 questions I asked you. So the last question is this. So are you gonna have any formal training for the zone deputies? No, because Ty Shelton's on it. Okay, and next, are any of your sheriffs going to be trained on how to not profile black and Hispanic people in the Antelope Valley? And let's just talk about how it's not majority Anglo-Saxon anymore. It's majority minority now. Right. So those are my questions for you, Captain. And I would like answers to that, not running around it.
Okay, now.
I think I can answer one of your questions. The deputies at the station have been instructed to conduct traffic enforcement. Because one of the major problems that is a gigantic community concern for the rest of the community is
You're already dividing us by even saying that.
the increasing number of traffic collisions and fatal traffic accidents. There is a direct correlation between enforcement and the reduction of those incidents. And that is a what was the word you used, sir? Racial, I don't remember.
Unconscionable bias.
Oh, sorry, unconscionable bias. It's a race-aligned activity.
It says in the report that it's not. So
I agree with what's in the report. It's in the report. What they did, they used statistics to paint a picture that's not complete.
For how many years it's not complete?
This is 11.
And is Ty Shelton in the zoning? And if he is,
I'm not
was
going
he retrained?
to discuss specific deployments with you.
He's on the
But you
website
just
though.
introduced everybody else who is, so why are you hiding him? Are you so afraid?
Zoning deputies are on the agenda.
Well, we stopped talking about the agenda. You all decided not to talk about the agenda.
Oh my God.
No,
Are
I'm
you serious
serious.
right now?
Yes, you all decided
It's
to
because
talk
he
about
continues
the
to
other
not
issues.
It's
That's the real
because Ty
issue.
Shelton is a murderer and he doesn't want to confirm that in a fake town hall meeting that really has no validity.
That's right.
People don't understand this meeting has no validity whatsoever. We're here arguing with this man and it's not going to
great. Thanks for meeting with us.
I'm going to pre-submitted question. This is for vehicle theft. How many detectives are assigned to investigate stolen vehicles?
If we're not on the agenda anymore, then we don't have to talk about stolen vehicles, correct?
Yeah.
These are pre-submitted questions.
These are questions that
We're not talking about that anymore. We're not talking about that anymore.
We should get more answers on the paper than we do here. People
These are questions
are.
that are asked by people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Where can I put the question at? Because it seems like they get
On
more
the
answers than
website,
everybody
on
else.
the website, you could
Yeah,
have
we
submitted.
posted it on our social media and they shared it on their
That's
social
crazy,
media.
because I think on your guys' Facebook, they actually don't get no
Is the
answers.
name of the person listed with the question? Because we are publicly identifying her.
In Lancaster High School, do you have the name? Do you know whether or not they're on duty currently with pay or without pay? And how's the investigation going?
I cannot give you the details of that incident, and the investigation is currently progressing. There is 2 phases to that investigation. There's a criminal investigation and an administrative investigation. Administrative investigation.